Howdy YouTube folks, it's your friendly neighborhood girl Ellen bringing you another video. And I thought in this video I would introduce somebody who I said I was going to, well, something I was going to introduce onto this channel. I shouldn't say somebody, but I will give you a backstory real quick. So if y'all have not seen my short, I believe I made a short. I forget if it was on here or on my Instagram, if any of you follow that, or my TikTok. But, your girl recently acquired, as I believe I mentioned, a 1989 Dodge Caravan, bought brand new by an uncle of mine. Was sitting on an aunt's property who needed to liquidate the property. And, because it had no longer use for it. Hadn't been there for about 8+ years, give or take, to that property. And, had asked originally me and my father about maybe fixing a window. I'm not the greatest carpenter in the world, but I do know basics. I have taken wood class in high school, and I probably could fix a window on like a camper. But the camper turned out not being worth really being fixed because of how long it had been abandoned on said property. And then through talking with her, obviously, got to inquiring and asking what she was going to do with the van. And so she said, yes, you're welcome to have the van. I have since taken the plates off of it. They were handicap plates for my uncle, and I found original license plates to the van, which I won't show. Currently, I've got the passenger side rear wheel off, and that's the hub stuff, because thankfully my dad's been helping me with what he can. With figuring out how to do the brake work, and we're going to try to get a puller and get the rear hubs off, so because the rears are locked up and it needs some work in the front. I'll go through all of that. Also going to be putting an exhaust system on her. She's a good old girl. But anyways, I thought I would take you around the van. Oh, and let me preface that I have named this van, and I know some people do it and it's weird and different, but I wanted to. My grandfather had a dog years ago named Maggie. So that was her first part of her name. And anyways, I've decided to name this van Maggie after her. And he also had a bug guard for the front of a hood. Like a lot of you older people who watch my channel that were around in the 80s and 70s and prior know about bug guards, and you know, it was a thing. And this one said Puppy Power on it in white lettering, but I ran out of the but I couldn't find the white lettering, and it had faded off on it, so I got the best I could, and I'll show you it. Also on the front of the hood, once I'm done repainting it, because I'm going to do some cosmetic work to this, and you'll see why. And I really want to make it primo, because it was my uncle's van, and it's a restoration. That's going to be my first daily driver. But I think official daily driver, even though y'all know I have the truck, the Model A Ford. If you haven't seen that, check that out. But anyways, I'll show you the bug guard, and you'll see why I also need to do some body work in other places. And so it warrants me doing some repainting. And we'll see how bad the hood is once I give this thing a bath. My first initial goal is to get it running and driving, and then go from there. So yeah. Anyways, let's take a walk around this. So first off, in the back seat, check that biz out. Let me move my coat here. As I showed you, my brake parts on the dash parked. This is all of her in her glory. And then we'll pop this hood. I have manuals for it, and I hate to get rid of them because they're original to the vehicle, but they are kind of rat laden, if you know what I mean. So I may have to get rid of those. But here's some information about this. Right there. There's that. There's this. Oh, I'll show you the VIN door. Currently, the passenger door does not open except from the inside because the latch needs some work. But here are some other specifications. Right there. And that. So y'all can appreciate and see updates on the channel for this. And it was last registered in 06, but I won't show you that for personal reasons. But here's all of the greatest 2.5 liter turbo Mitsubishi that was subbed out by Mitsubishi to go into the Caravan. And yes, this is an 89 Caravan, a true Caravan, and I'll show you why. I know it is. But most of all of you would probably have already known that anyways. See right down there in the corner where it says Caravan? In the corner. And it's Primo. I don't know if any of the electronics work. My aunt could not find the keys. I found an old registration for it though, honestly. Oddly enough is what I mean to say. So that'll be good. And yeah, it looks a little rough around the edges. But trust me, y'all, when you see this done, you'll be amazed at it. And yes, I had to clean a mouse nest out of this. I just checked it to make sure there wasn't anything in there beforehand. And there was. So I pulled it off, checked the hose. Obviously, I pulled out the junk battery. And the beauty about it, if y'all notice, this battery has a 70-day warranty, I believe is what. Or a 72-month limited warranty. I bet that's long gone. That's Costco from 06, probably. 06 or prior, because that's when it was off the road, like I said. It was last registered in 06, so that's an 06 or prior battery, obviously. And apparently my uncle had some stuff done to this, and he was trying to either pull a tree or something, and something he may have not, this van was not meant to do, and he thought he damaged the transmission, or gearbox rather, because that's kind of an all-in-one. Because if you know these vans, they're front wheel drive, and so in the rear it's just a straight axle. But if you can't see it, and I don't think you'll be able to unless I turn the tire, but take my word for it, and there is a busted tie rod, and so I think that might be all that's needed. This thing needs rocker panels on both sides, mainly on the other side. Right there is some, and then right down here is the major on this. I have not seen the floors yet. That'll be yet to be determined. The liner was garbage, so we pulled that out, and I gotta fill in that hole over there. The roof needs a touch up, and I'll show you guys the other side. Oh, and over here for y'all, for the channel, we'll see. I also got to do a little repair there. Yes, this door looks pretty bad, and I know that most of y'all who comment on my videos are going to be like, oh, just replace the door. But I'm not. I'm going to repair it because it's original to the van. And you can see where it had the original Caravan thing on there that's long gone. Either that, or where he bought it. But anyways, those are gone. But yes, that will need repair, and I'm going to try my attempts at learning welding with the help of my father and repair that. And there's a little bit right there, I think. There might be a little bit there. We're yet to investigate. And right on that door in the corner, we're going to try to repair. And this, of course, you can see where the rot has taken its toll, and other various little spots that I find. But we will get there, YouTube folks. And that door does not currently open. And no, I could also not get the keys for the doors, which sucked, but it's life. We're going to have those cut too. This actually, I believe, was for a GM, this tire I found. Because I had an uncle who passed away and his stuff was left behind in our backwoods anyways from when he was sugaring, and this was one of the pieces. But it's a slight bit more taller just temporarily to put on there because I am going to get the correct 75s, 75-R14s that go on this. Even though you can get a 70 and it'll work, but I'd rather get 75s because that's what was on it if I can find them. Even though I found some used sets of 70s, and obviously I'm not going to run used all the time, or maybe gently used, but just for yard driving purposes once I fix everything that needs to be fixed on this. And yes, it begs the question, why, other than it being my uncle's and it being, well, technically 150 with me getting it home so far, but plus 18 for the replacement ignition tumbler key blank that I got. Now I just have to get it cut, find someone to cut it. But yes, it begs the question because these had a host of issues with them, we all know. For those of you who are familiar with these vans, they were cool, but they did have their electrical faults. Let's see if I can find a piece of wood here. Knock on, or tap on, piece of wood. That doesn't happen to me at all. And yes, I got to figure out what's wrong with the door latch to get it open from the outside again. But, I mean, bask in it, YouTube folks. It's a glorious van of greatness. It's, to me, the Cadillac of vans, in my opinion, for what it is. It's cool. Not a lot of them left on the road. Yes, I do want to find to replace the radio that's in it with a, if you can see that radio, with the cassette version, if I can find one of the cassette radios that was in this. This is not the first year of this van, but it is, because I believe the first year was 83 or 84 of these. But this is not the last year either. It's like it's the 5th gen year, I believe is how that works. And I think it's pretty cool that it has a turbo. And yes, a lot of y'all who are familiar with these are going to tell me, but it's not a very powerful turbo. And I get that, but it's still a turbo. From what I looked up online, it's a turbo van. So with that being said, guess what that means? It's got turbo. And I don't have to mess with points and condenser system. Now, I know I've said that I like points and condenser over electronic ignitions because some of the host of problems they have. I do, but I also don't like the downside of points and condenser ignition, that sometimes gapping them is a pain in the butt and then adjusting them right. And at least with an electronic distributor, I don't have to mess with that problem. Even though if the timing's off on this, yes, I will have to fuss with that, but that's minor compared to having to fuss with the timing and fuss with points and condenser. That's the only annoying thing, but I do believe, as I've stated, points and condenser systems tend to last longer, in my opinion, at least from my experience, and you can keep cleaning them, as versus electronic distributor. When it's done, and you might as well replace it, unless for some miracle they make the internal rebuild parts. But if you can buy the whole thing, it just makes more sense on an electronic distributor to essentially buy a new one, thus making it not really a serviceable item. And that's the main reason why I prefer a points and condenser system, is because at least it's a serviceable item in my mind. Now, people will beg to differ with me, but that's anyways. And of course, we know we may have to replace the coil. We don't know what condition it's in. Was not able to get this removed yet, but we will. This is the factory jack. Feast your glory. It's got the thing. Yes, I will be cleaning this up and restoring this and putting it on just for show. Will I possibly ever use it? If I was on the side of the road, yes, but in reality, probably not. Not if I have to do repairs and I'm at home with the van, or I have to bring it home because the parts are at home and have it towed home. Say if it did have some issues and I had the parts here, no. that's going to stay right for the most part, unless I get it flat and I need to absolutely use it, or something on the road that I would need it for to jack up. But yes, we will be restoring it and putting it back anyways because it's part. And if you look at the shock towers, they're pretty rusty, so we don't know if those are salvageable. I'm hoping I can pull them off and clean them up. Worst case scenario, I'll be searching for a set if I can find them to replace. Sorry guys, I'm just going to close this hood here without slamming my fingers in it, because that would hurt like the dickens. But I don't want to close it all the way because I had to take the grill off of it. That's why you see it's off, in order to get that, because I couldn't get the cable to work from the inside. So yeah, that was a host in its whole thing. But thankfully the grill came off easily enough, and yes, I do have it. If anyone in the Vermont area knows of where I can find a set of fake wire wheel hubcaps for this, I would greatly appreciate that, because I do want to find a set for this van. She's not pretty. She ain't pretty, but she's mine. It's going to take some work. Obviously, the roof will need some repainting, because if you look up on the roof, like right there, you can see. And same on the other side, I believe there's some stuff. Seals, different things. It's a project. It's definitely got its quirks. And it's definitely going to be a unique ride, and I hope it lasts me for a long time. My eventual long-term goal, once I get myself a good part-time job, and I've saved up some money, because heck, even right here where it's peeling, I don't know if we can get a good view of that. But, oh no, that's a stick. Never mind, y'all. That was a stick I found. Take that back. But you know what I mean. Some stuff right here, I think, maybe. But you know, like I was saying, my long-time adventure goal, and you may see on the channel as well, is to find me a third vehicle at some point. So that way, once the Model A pickup is done, in between doing this and the Jubilee, but mainly doing this, and then probably the Jubilee next, then the Model A pickup, or vice versa, Model A pickup, then Jubilee. I would like myself a commuter car so I can retire this to kind of like a grocery hauler type of thing, or if I absolutely need something at like a craft store or something like that, but mainly groceries. And then my truck can be my work truck, so doing all my work stuff around the yard, going to the dump, things like that. And then have a third vehicle, like an old, not necessarily an old Pinto, I'd prefer like a Chevy Vega or something like that, or an old station wagon if I had to, as a commuter car for my work. That way I can put less miles on this van, given that it was my uncle's, and that it has some sentimental value. Especially once I finish restoring it, I would like to keep it as nice as possible and keep it around a long time. Not that I would ever get rid of it, per se, but, you know, just try to keep it going for as long as life. And if I ever have to someday either rebuild or find replacement power plant, and I have the money to bring it to a mechanic instead of doing it myself and having that done, I would do it just to keep this van because of that reason. Now, the commuter car I get may not be the same situation, but y'all know what I'm talking about. When it comes to something sentimental like this, and it belonged to someone that you really cared about and you were close to, like a family member or a friend, and the car has sentimental, sometimes no amount of money is worried about in that, and it's a labor of love keeping it going because it means that much to you. I had to close the door better. There we go. I just wanted to make sure it was closed. But anyways, and what else? Oh yes, and I was also going to say that I have a local place, like a place that does decals and like pinstriping that I know of. That's like in the city of the state of Vermont that I live in one of the cities. Anyways, this place is, I probably won't mention because, for one, I'm not sponsored, and two, I just don't know if I really should, but who knows, maybe I'll mention the place at some point in the future. But anyways, I'm thinking they could get me pinstriping for this, And this side is not as bad, but the other side is faded. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Or was it this side? I think it was the other side mainly. But I'll probably have both done. Yes, I think it was more so this side was faded. And you can see there where that's coming off, because I'll have to redo it anyways. I want to get this pinstriping replaced and put back on here because it's original to the van. And I think it looks so cool. And I like that blue. And then you have this pinstriping here that's really faded away, I think, from age, unless this was a door off of a different van. But because it is slightly different colored, but either way, it's getting repainted in this color, and that pinstriping is getting replaced with the blue because I want it to match really well and go good. And I think this is just faded from years of this, because you can see right here this stuff. And so that's what I plan on doing. And so yeah, so anyways, that's also something that's going to happen to Maggie, is she's going to get new pinstriping. So I think that'll be pretty sick. And if I can clean up these rims and salvage them when I go to get official tires, you know, after I get them off, clean up the rims and repaint them, I'm thinking about redoing them in the same blue as this factory Dodge Chrysler Caravan blue. It's like a grayish blue color, and because there's peeling, I'm going to save a sample and see if somebody can recreate for the rims. But then I'm going to get those dish caps that look like the chromes, the fake chrome, because I think that'll really look good on here. I also found a CB that my uncle had in this van that I was also allowed to keep from my aunt that is going to go into this van, because, or I should say it might get installed in this van if it still works, because he had it in this van. And I think he used to use it in their camper on their campsite, because they had a campsite with a camper and that was their summer camp. And I think he used to use it inside the camper, but he moved it out there when he was done with it. But anyways, that's what I want to do, is see if I can reinstall that. And I'm debating, even though it's older than what this van is, I think I found one that might be able to, on Marketplace, fit up. Debating if I do actually look for a factory cassette player or buy this 8-track player and put it in there. And yes, I know y'all are going to say, 8-track player, 70s, 60s, that's older than this van. But my theory is if I did put that in there, that this is a 12-volt system. And those were 12-volt systems, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't see why that would be an issue. But I think I'll probably just end up sticking with a factory cassette player, because I have, well, I say I have comparable amounts of 8-tracks to cassettes, but I can't guarantee any of them work because I don't have an 8-track player yet. And actually, on my Marketplace, I've been trying to sell some of my 8-tracks because I don't need them all. So, and I may sell them at Fleet Market, so I'll probably just end up getting a factory cassette player if I can find one. Obviously saving the original radio. And I'm going to do a short on a picture, and if it's still something sold by Walmart Corporation by the time, not sponsored by Walmart, by the way, by the time I fix this up, I think I'm going to get one, or I may anyways. It's a kit for your vehicle, and it's baby blue color. It's got this a new steering wheel cover for the steering wheel that I hope will go over all of that mess, because that's got a steering wheel cover on it. And it's got some other things to dress up the vehicle, like some covers for the speaker housing to make it look better. And it's cool baby blue, and I think it will look good. And some flower design air fresheners that clip into your vents. And yes, I will have to work on the heat and cooling system in this, because I think they're frozen. But y'all just, again, feast your eyes on what I did the other night with what I found. Isn't that going to be so cool on there? Puppy power. Now, I classify them as both my nephews. They're my brother and his wife and son and daughter. That side of my family's both their dogs. And they have 2 of them, and they're both male dogs, so I classify them both as my nephews. And I think that'll be cool on there. And then, because I'm doing in honor of my grandfather's dog he had in the 70s, putting Maggie right across here, spelled exactly the same way he did, and I believe it was Maggie, and so that'll go right, kind of like centered across, right behind the stereotypical Chrysler emblem. So y'all, this is going to be a cool van, and I'm going to be excited. It's my first official road legal set of wheels it will be, and I'm going to be happy about that. And as long as it can get me to and fro where I need to go to a job, I think it'll be good. But like I said, I'll document progress on this thing as promised in this video on the channel when I can. So do look for updates on this old late 80s gloriousness with lichens. Loads of lichens and a little bit of dirt. But with some elbow grease and a pressure washer, the lichens will magically disappear by the magical water beads of the pressure washer, taking the lichens away. Now, if you could smell the aroma that this van gives off after I spray the blooming scent of the blue, I believe it's Radiant Bloom. In here, it smells a heck of a lot better. Eventually, when I'm further into it, and I'm going to spray some now, just to do it again. The cap is hard to get off this, so I kind of just prop it on it. But I like to spray in here every time I can. But once I'm able to once I get them and I'm farther in my restoration and I'm able to have them cut, I will get the keys, because if you know these vans, you know that the keys for the doors were separate from the ignition tumbler. I will have those made, because trust me when I say that the back of this van still needs to be vacuumed inside, and it was a rodent home for who knows how long. I don't know if it was rats or mice. I'm assuming mice, because the droppings were slight small, and usually mice droppings are smaller and rodent droppings are slightly longer. But it could have been a mix of both varieties. Could have been squirrels. Somehow they found a way into this van. They lived in it and made home. And there's a cubby, if you're familiar with these vans, under the passenger seat, and that had the rodent house. Thankfully, there were no rodents in it, because that would have been an impactful, exciting video that I could have almost made. And I don't know if I should show this without grossing people out, but I won't for a long time. But you can see what we have. So that will be fun to take the shop back and finally get rid of those, to unfold the third seat and clean out the back. I did end up with a trailer hitch, and as gross as it is, I'm going to try to clean it, because I believe it's a cover for the spare tire. Even though I found out where I think the spare tire mounts underneath. But quite honestly, I don't know if I'm going to actually put it back there. I may just put it inside the trunk and leave it in the trunk, because those are a pain, and when they freeze up, those winder downer devicey thingies, they freeze up and you can't get the spare down. And I'm thinking about replacing the spare, but we had to use it to get it, also before I close this video out, to get it home. But there's our lovely spare, a little 20 miler. I wouldn't trust that for more than 20 miles, but you know. But if that rim cleans up enough, maybe it's salvageable, I might keep it. But you know the old adage about spare tires, if you're familiar with older vehicles and restoring them. The spare tire rim is usually the one that's toasted out of all of them, but because they're so thin, but the other rims survive better because they're thicker metals. Why they did that and why they made spares on different vehicles back in the day, oddball, is beyond me. And thinner gauge, maybe it was to cut costs, but why, I don't know. And just look at that dinky little tire. Isn't that thing weird? That's like a clown car tire, but you know, like I said, it's on there for temp. We will be addressing that. We did that just to get it home. But yes. So yeah, if that is salvageable, I will try to fix it. And if I can get it mounted underneath, I might, because it is small enough, you know, get the spinner thingy to work to send it back under there. But I'm not holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath on this one. But yeah, being a salvageable rim, but we'll try. And it'll get painted in the same blue probably as the other rims, just because cut costs. But anyways, YouTube folks, I hope you liked this video, and I hope you can get one final glimpse. And remember, yes, I do have the grill of Maggie, the Chrysler Caravan, or Dodge Caravan rather. Still a Chrysler, Plymouth, and Dodge, Valiant, all the same corporation back then anyways, so you know, I can call it a Chrysler and I can call it a Dodge, and I think y'all know what it means. But I'm sure some of you technicalities out there will try to tell me, oh no, you gotta call it a Dodge because that's what it is, just because it has the Chrysler emblem. But anyways, that's your opinion. Still, for the sake of the video, Dodge Caravan, and bask in it. And can't wait to see this thing on the road. It's going to be an exciting addition to my life. Definitely a unique addition. Oh, also, one more thing before I close out this video on Maggie. And a little snippet of something, because you may not even see it on the channel, because I don't know if I'll bother, but I may. Is this thing that also came from my uncle's place too as well. So if you want to see a video on it, I don't think this is anything that interesting. It's an old, they're kind of rare, but not rare in a valuable sense in my opinion. Gilson rear engine rider that's missing the mower deck, and the engine is locked up. I was trying to procure a Honda engine for it, and the rear end is kind of locked up, or was locked up, and the clutch pedal frozen. So maybe I will make a video on this, but I just don't know. I think I made a short about it, maybe, about showing me finding it, and like shorts on either Instagram or TikTok, and possibly here too. But I don't think like I said, I don't think I'll do a full-on video on it. And yes, if you're wondering, my uncle put those on there because he had grandkids. He was older. He was probably 70s or 80s when he passed away back in the late 2000s into like the 10s. Anyways, yeah, so if you're wondering what the decals are, that's why he put those on there. Somebody had given him this, and that's what he did. He used to bring the kids his grandkids in a trailer around the property. He used to drive them around for fun. They were little kids. So yeah, I do like it. I think it's unique, but I don't know if it's something that great for a video. I will say, when I do go to fix it up, I am going to probably repaint the underside in certain parts and clean it up, but like where the decals that he put on are there, I'm probably just going to leave those alone. But I do want to do in here a little bit in like some areas, unless I can mask off the decals or pull them off without ruining them, because I would like to keep them on for the history of it. But like right in these footwells and certain areas where I can mask off the original factory decals, like for all the settings and stuff, and like this right here, cleaning this up, I will do that. But again, like I said, YouTube folks, I don't know if that will be a video or not, just because again, it's not anything in my opinion that like, wow, this has to be a video Not that I don't appreciate it because it was my uncle's. I do, don't get me wrong, and it's something sentimental to me because my uncle had it, and I was lucky enough to be allowed to take this too, but again. Anyways, YouTube folks, I'm going to end the video there with you seeing this and also getting one more glimpse of sweet Maggie, which is the star of this video. But I thought I would also mention that too, just because. And yes, that's a rim and tire from Maggie, one of the front ones. Where the 20 mile is on, that's the one from the 20 mile because we couldn't get it towed there. But anyways, and that's the rear one over there. That goes on the rear hub right there that I've got slightly apart, obviously, for the hub work till I get the puller. But anyways, have an excellent time, whatever it is, wherever you are, YouTube folks. As always, keep your heads up, stay strong, all that kind of jazz. And as always, there we go. As always, if you wouldn't mind to like, comment, or subscribe. You don't have to subscribe, but it would be nice if you did. Like I've said before, if you wouldn't mind commenting your opinions, your thoughts, anything I can do better. But again, you don't have to. That's not an obligational. And hitting that notification bell, full notification bell would be really great. Partial notification bells, okay, I can live with that. Or no notification bell. Maybe you just choose not to be notified. Again, as I've stated in previous videos, and I like to mention it again for newcomers to my channel, if there's any newcomers who decide to stay with my channel or view my channel multiple times, to not feel obligated to have to be subscribed to my channel and be updated on my updates if it's not absolutely something you're into, or maybe you just don't watch me as often, but you discovered me, so you feel that there's channels that you would rather pay more attention to, which I'm fine with, because as I've stated before, and YouTube folks that have watched my channel for a long time know, I'm not looking for fame or to be this famous channel who has all the famous merch and donate to me garbage. I mean, that's what they do, and it's fine. And I've said before, there are few channels I would probably donate to, but I would not make it an emphasis, because I just don't. I don't want that. That's not what my channel's about. My channel's about free content that may or may not be interesting or helpful to somebody, however they view it, if they view it, if they care for it at all. So anyways, with that, as always, you'll see this a lot: sunshine, unicorns, and rainbows for the new YouTube folks that aren't familiar, and I will see you in the next video.